Well, hello everybody and welcome back to commercial boiler retrofit we're going to be doing today, this week, next month. The beautiful thing about this particular setup is it's in the middle of the summer and we don't need the heat, which is nice. How we've come to this conclusion that we need to put a new boiler in, well, we were doing some summer maintenance and we killed power to the boiler, let it sit for a bit, and as you can see, the heat exchanger and its seals have decided to weep. So the management and the owner of this building have decided not to waste any money and just upgrade the system. Given them a few options between Navien and Rinnai, they've elected to go with a Navien because their sister building next door also has two Navien NFB commercial 399s. That's what we're going to put in here too. So we're going to remove all of this, but we're going to do this in a smart way. We're going to take this tank and just relocate it for now right here. We're going to put it in that spot. We're going to shut the water off, obviously, disconnect everything, and then reconnect everything here. Why are we going to do that, you may ask? It's in the way, and it simply is that. I want to be able to clean up some of the gas piping and all that, but we're also going to clean up the venting, the ductwork, remove the expansion tanks, and remove the boiler, tear it out, and bring her to the landfill. And we're going to have some more space then to not put the boilers in yet, but we're going to build a wall. We got cinder block along here, and we're going to run the 20 feet gauntlet, 25 feet, and we're going to do a very good structural wall where we can mount anything onto it. So it's going to have a lot of strength to it. And this way it'll also help clean up any wiring or anything else that we might want to put behind the boiler and just make it for a very, very clean install. And once that is done, obviously then we'll mount both boilers, probably one here and one there on that wall. And then we're going to do our primary heating piping and possibly domestic hot water at the end. We're going to use an IBC Max 80, I think. Some of the details haven't been finally or worked out. Instead of Grundfos pumps, I want to do all Tacos for this particular setup and system. So we're going to use some Taco E-Series 0034s for the boilers themselves. And then I think we're going to go up to the larger V-Series or E-Series, but they're V-Series, large Taco circulators, but more on that later. But it's going to look totally amazing. It's going to be beautiful. And all of this old archaic stuff's going to be out of here. Venting is obviously going to be real easy. We're going to go up through the chimney with combustion air and exhaust. We're going to have two boilers, so obviously times that by 2. Condensate, well, our only drain is either that or floor drain in here. So obviously that's how we're going to get rid of our condensate. But of course, because it's cast in copper, we're going to put acid neutralizers on that and make sure that condensate's neutralized. So our sewer lines are, well, protected. And one other minor fact, but a very important fact actually, this archaic regulator is going bye-bye, and we're going to be putting in a proper Pietro regulator, just designed better for the modulation, the turn down ratio, all that stuff for these new boilers. Those Pietro rigs are magical. They're wonderful for setups like this. So all in all, yeah, hopefully we'll have a good turnaround time of a few weeks. Working time might be longer than that. Since we have the summertime, there's no rush, especially when we have domestic hot water. It's just going to be out of our working area. So if we have something more pressing, we can come back to this. But obviously it is nice to get it up, get it done, get it built, get paid, and move on to the next job. So we'll have fun with this one as we say goodbye to this Teledyne Lars Mighty Therm and put in a new Navien system.
At last, my love has come along. My lonely days are over, and life is like a song. Oh yeah, yeah. was wrapped up in clover. The night I
Hello everybody and welcome back. We have completed our installs of our NFB-399Cs with our indirect hot water tank, and now we're going to do our unveiling, and I'm quite happy with the finished result. This is everything complete. It took a little bit of time to do this one obviously as well. We were able to have our domestic hot water tank here giving us temporary domestic hot water while we worked on this during the late summer, got into fall, and then of course we reached early winter and temperatures getting cold. So we really ramped it up. I didn't want to rush this project specifically because we were so busy, and I was taking care of about 90% of the install with help from a few other my comrades and our electrical division. But now we are complete, and I'm going to go over everything with you. So as you may notice, we have a new lighting package we gave to this client. We're just going to shut our lights off and show you the difference when the lights are off. And you can see quite a different look, more of a cosmetic look than anything else, just to give it that little bit of extra oomph in this room. It is connected to a sensor overall here. So a photocell, basically, when you come in, senses motion, these lights will come on. But aside from that, we have added a lot more lighting in this room. We are 99% complete on this. All we have to do is have our electrician come back and just tidy up a few more things, and then we are done. We'll go over the domestic hot water tank first. Standard IBC Max 80-gallon hot water tank, 1.5 inlets, outlets, really fast recovery time. We're talking 20, 25, 30 minutes at 180 degree. Now we've installed our boiler inlet and outlets here. We've given our pressure just so it's easy for people to record because they do like to get daily readings on this, as well as our temperature. And this is our inlet temperature going into our boiler system here. That's our outlet, I believe. Anyways, long story short, this is our indirect hot water tank, 1-inch relief valve. Here's our domestic side. This is the important side of what we need. We're looking at 140 degrees coming out. Sure enough, we have that. And we also have our domestic pressure here too at 55 PSI. Just to give quick references so that we know where our temperatures lie and where our pressures lie respectively on each side of the indirect hot water tank's heat exchanger, which is basically that coil inside there. Had a bit of fun with our decaling. We had our electricians just mount this so it doesn't actually penetrate or touch the tank with a conduit tubing and a nice little light indicating what each station is. Domestic hot water tank, domestic hot water pump, heating pump, and then obviously we have boiler 1, boiler 2, expansion tank, kind of our main components in this room. Moving back here, obviously we have our domestic hot water pump here. We have our pumps on the return side, just the way certain things lined up in this room. I wanted to make sure we had enough space for it. So that ultimately, that's what we ended up doing. Both pumps are on the returns. Here's our supply coming up over and down. And then on our return, we have our return temperature coming out of the tank. Ideally, I would have liked to have done this here, but it doesn't really matter. It just gives us some references on our temperatures and where we're at. The important thing is our domestic hot water is up to temperature right now, and we want to keep it that way. We'll go over the Aquastat sensor a little bit later on in the video here and just briefly describe some of the frustrations I've had with the setup there and how it's actually easily fixable. But here we've just used a standard 0015E series takeout pump. That's all we need. It's just a small loop back and forth, and we have a very quick recovery rate for that. Could you upscale this pump? I guess you could with the amount of volume, but this little guy does our job. We have individual shutoffs for these pumps if we want to service them, work on them. We can do that easily without having to shut the boilers off. Especially if we want to flush one cycle, we want to leave domestic hot water off. We can leave the boilers running, but just kill power to this, shut this off, and we can do that precisely. So put differential pressure gauges on the pumps we've installed here. I really wish this one right here actually had that option. Sadly, it did not, and it's unfortunate. You may notice a little bit of rust here. We actually had a leak on one of our Victaulic fittings, and it was really interesting that I've never seen one fail that way, and it was just honestly just a bad install. So we just swapped it out. Boom, we're up and running. This is the expensive addition here. This was already a quoted job. We were going to put in a Grundfos package, but we decided to upgrade this to the Taco 00 variable series. So it's a far more efficient pump. The nice thing about it, it adjusts its head pressure automatically, right? You can also dial in what you want. It's about double the cost, so it's an added bonus to the client. Client didn't have to pay that extra. It's something we did because we wanted to go with a Taco theme in this room, as you can see, but also I wanted to try these in the field at my cost, so we ended up doing that. Obviously, we have shutoffs, flush valves for the supply and the return. Over here, you look at our main boilers here. Boiler 1, boiler 2, simply labeled. This is obviously our master. This is our slave. We have 120 volt master switches right here on the tank, or on the unit for servicing. One small note here, and I'm going to go over this. Had a conversation with technical safety, and moving forward, any future install, we're going to be moving our pressure relief valves from this location permanently up to this location. Now, my logic was supply and return are coming out of this area. This is where our relief valve should be. But on fire tube install, specifically in our boiler code in our province of British Columbia, it is required that we put them on the top. And the reason why, obviously the fire tube, the mass, it's far better for it to relief closer to that point than down here. And I get their argument. It's a bit debatable in some ways, but ultimately it doesn't matter. They're the governing body. They have, the power, whatever they want goes. But basically, for an install practice, I like them down here because obviously you can test them, you can look at them, you can monitor them, but obviously you need to have those relief valves there. Added in low water cutoffs on both these units here, just because one thing I'm cautious about Navien too is the pressure sensors in there. If it's reading pressure, that's great, but if it's not water and air, or if it's a mixture of both, it may give you a false presence. So that's why I like having these low water cutoffs in here, just as an extra added insurance. Not necessarily required where we are, but just a little extra above and beyond, which is what my preference usually always is. Going over the install, now you may have noticed this just looking at the piping install. This is primary, secondary, reverse return. True reverse return, you don't need to do that with these Naviens, but I like to. I like the first one fed as the last one to return, and vice versa. Give you guys a good look at that, see how it's piped in here. It's just the way I was taught, and it's just the way I like doing things. We used the Taco Comfort series, the 34E series, just for the flow rates required on these boilers. A little bit more money, obviously, but far better. And you can see our pressure differential there with those gauges, and we know our speed and know if they're on currently. One really cool thing, these acid neutralizers, look how lovely they are. And they're in the vertical position. Why, may you ask? Well, it does neutralize it, in my opinion, a lot better where that fluid is in that constant state. But when it comes time to service this, all you have to do is open this valve, and you see the water level go all the way down, and it's out, fully drained. Then once you're done that, shut that back off, pop off these unions, take out this, and completely change the media, and you're clean. You can also do this on a frequent basis and help clean this acid neutralizer. This is a better example because we haven't done this one here, but if you look closely, and we open this up here, and you can see all of that gets dunked down through here and out, making it really easy to service and notice what's going on. Pop these unions off, change the media, you're off to the races. Magnetic filters, take these out, take the cores out, see our status on them. Obviously, I wanted to have redundancies, flush valves, shutoffs. Keynote too, if you're installing fire tube boilers, you need to have 3/4 inch drain cocks on a lot of them, or at least one in one location. Technically, I guess you could say this does pass as one. for your boiler installs, especially in the province of British Columbia, which is where we are located. Over here we have our expansion tank. Usually a lot of inspectors like to see that blocked off. This is specifically for service, so we can drain down and fill our expansion tank up with air. So that's the key thing. Sometimes, depending on size or boiler operating permit, you need to have an ASME certified tank. This case, you don't. Not in this case. Then, of course, we have our Exceeding Industry Standards logo, giving our brand. Very proud of our installs. Here, we've used a mixture of iron pipe for our gas, labeled everything, as well as mega press up here, hangers, and we used our 5-pound Pietro rag with our union, obviously, and drip leg, shut off isolation. Everything's there, simple and easy. Go a little bit above and beyond with these Pietro rags. They're the best in the business, in my opinion, far better than Maxi Trolls, and it handles your turn down ratio a lot better on these particular units. Because remember, Navien has 10-to-1, 15-to-1 turn down ratio, sometimes even exceeds some of their competitors. And over here we have our light hex wall, which we put in here to specifically illuminate our install, right? And I think it turned out really good. Just extra light, a little bit of a cool feature. Boiler service records right here. And we have our boiler documents, all of our specific boiler documents, easy to find for references when servicing. I find this always gets overlooked, the small details that make an install for servicing a lot better. And manager logbook and contractor's logbook right here. So whenever we're here, we fill in our time, as well as our log station, nice place to write down, make notes, especially for our contractors, as well as the manager who comes in here daily, because this company does a great job of monitoring all their systems. So yeah, very happy with that. Exhaust, we used Centrotherm, used a bit of labeling here, put our shutoffs, or not shutoffs, but our hangers, because they do like to have those split ring hangers, as well as using our fasteners to secure everything. Actually, really happy with how that turned out. Still, I'm a fan of 636 and a lot of other applications, but this specific one turned out really well. So, and it was actually easy to install. But that's it, everybody. That completes the install. So far, the system's been working really good. Just been playing around with some settings. Last, but definitely not least, this right here. The downfall with having your domestic hot water tied into these boilers without separate controllers is domestic hot water will always take priority, which means, and I've talked to several technicians about this, I can't have the heating on at the same time if I'm running it through the computer system on the Navien. So that being said, when there's a call for domestic hot water and a call for heat, domestic hot water comes on, this pump shuts off, which in turn it's shut off right now because we have a call for domestic hot water. Once that gets up to temperature, once we get to our desired set point, it will shut off. Central heating then will come back on. But until that happens, no central heating will. If we change this sensor to an actual aquastat, then it becomes a switch and it's just another call for heat, like having two zones. And then consequently, if you did do that, then we would have basically just 180 degrees going to it, and you could have a call for domestic hot water and a call for heat, which is what I'm debating doing. It has such a quick recovery time, it shouldn't make a difference. But fun fact to know when looking at these boilers.